I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Omar Zaki, co-founder of Mantis, here to talk about the intersection of DeFi, artificial intelligence, social, and much more in Web3. Omar, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Very welcome. I'm excited to dive into what you and your team have been building at Mantis. I see that there's great backers. It's the time for more people to get involved in social trading, and AI is taking it to the next level, merging in with Web3. So let's just kick it off with a high level on, first of all, what you and your team have been building all this time, and then we can dive into all those details.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, we've always believed in this like ChatGPT moment for crypto, ChatGPT experience for crypto. But we believe that in order to actually have a moat for these things, you need to have a vertically integrated stack. And so we spent, several years since starting this in 2021, building out the, base layer infrastructure, which is IBC-based bridging between Ethereum, Solana, Cosmos ecosystem. Then we spent some time building the solver network, which is this layer on top that allows for best execution for swaps and other DeFi activities across Ethereum, Solana, and single chain on each one of those chains. And now we have the DISE framework, which is the main component that is powering our network of personalized agents, but is also something that agents from other ecosystems like virtuals can tap into to be able to do DeFi activities.
Very interesting. And, I feel like everyone's relying on ChatGPT and these LLMs for a lot of their Web 2 based work, whether it's content writing, idea generation, answering questions. And I'm using it a lot, but I feel like there's a disconnect when it comes to crypto and actually being able to make trades or get involved in other parts of crypto. I'm really not using it a lot for that. I feel like there's a huge upgrade that needs to be made. So how do you envision that happening as AI agents and AI allows you to actually interact with crypto and DeFi?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things that need to obviously happen. I think the first is like, you have to make sure that the agents are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you also need to make sure that it's like scalable, so that there's no like sort of increase of cost for using a better user experience, right? And so like I feel like we've solved the second problem, which is like because we're vertically integrated, we're able to internalize a lot of this order flow and essentially make the process cheaper than if you were to use something like Graphane or any of these other protocols that like charge you 1% to do a swap. But the main thing is then saying, okay, how do we make sure agents actually are doing what they're supposed to be doing? That's where there's protocols like Hyperbolic and like other protocols. Like we're also working on something as well with a Watchers network to make sure that there is actually agent, some sort of verification layer for agents.
Yeah, I've personally been involved in the basics of DeFi for a few years. I've seen the narratives of AI agents and the potential that they have over the past 6 months throughout 2024, but I really haven't experimented with the intersection of AI agents and trading yet. And I'm not sure how many platforms are actually available to do that. And I know eventually this is going to grow from just the degens to the mainstream and probably everybody who's trading in a decentralized way. So right now, are there many trading platforms that have actually tested out integrating AI agents with trading?
So there's Codex, which has Big Tony, which is like one of the only agents that's like autonomously trading. You also have Almanac, which is not out, but is theoretically going to offer something similar. We have an agent that's trading already called Lady Mantis. Like she runs a poll and the community votes on what she should buy and she just buys it. And then there's also Graphane, which is doing personalized agents. And then Hey Anon, which is Daniele's project, which is doing personalized agents as well. Beyond that, I think there's really not that much out there currently. Most of these agents are just focused on, can you launch something that does Twitter, Telegram, and like interactions, right? You also have Thales, which is sort of like a research AI agent as well. But again, none of these things are trading. And so that's kind of the thing that we're looking to enable longer term is like you start out with this personalized layer where people use these things to manage their finances, grow that out to also include Web2 integrations like Shopify and like Amazon, and being able to do these things. And then at the same time, why can AI XBT not launch a vault strategy that people just put money into, and then, you see what happens? I mean, I would at least want to give AI XBT a shot to run some of my money, right? So like that could be interesting. I think like that convergence of just having the flexibility for any vault strategy to be live and tokenized by existing agents that have alpha, I think will become very, very interesting. And that's kind of the crux of what we want to eventually focus on, is not just offering this personalized set of tools for users, but also becoming this kind of central platform for agents, essentially competing to create the best alpha on chain.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. And I feel like it's very early on. I'm pretty sure most people understand that it's a great time if you're a speculative investor. You're looking at something at the beginning stages. And researching through Mantis as well, I saw that it says version 0.0 at the moment. So I know that there's many updates to come after this. What's the current status of the Mantis app, and what are you able to do?
Yeah. So the current status of Mantis app is basically you can use the live solver network to do trades across Ethereum, Solana, on Ethereum, on Solana, and like cross chain. You can copy trade your friends, and you can do swaps as big as like $75,000. We have several solvers that are actively solving things, and we've crossed 50 million of volume. So the next step of what's to come is basically this platform is out and working, and now we're going to throw the agentic layer on top of it. And that essentially means like being able to now use the DISE LLM directly in Mantis app with your own personalized agent to do swaps for you and find alpha. So really like the existing application is meant to kind of become like the manual way of how you do things on chain, on Solana and Ethereum. But like the DISE LLM sort of one agent, one account framework is going to become the major thing that sits on top of this existing application. Mm-hmm. And so like the existing application looks a lot like something like a Jupyter and stuff like that. But the difference is that we have a solver network. So you're not getting front run. There's no MEV. So really, actually, like if you want to throw a tagline at this thing, it's like we offer the ability for agents to do MEV-resistant trades. And I think that's like particularly important, especially with like how would an agent know any different?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's especially important. And to explain that a little bit, when you have AI, obviously you can be trading very fast. And in the earlier days, there are bots that can run your transaction and make it cost more than you think it was going to cost. And when there's different AI agents competing with each other trading, I can probably see that taking it to the next level of being able to front run or trying to be a person trading against other AIs. I feel like that's only going to continue to grow, and having a platform that is resistant to getting screwed over by artificial intelligence sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the impetus behind these developments.
And in the beginning, you mentioned Mantis is a vertically integrated stack. So with that technology, can you explain a little bit in what vertically integrated means and how that's beneficial to the use of the platform when people are using it for trading?
Yeah, so essentially, like if you look at something like Standard Oil back in the day, they owned everything in the process, all the way from like where they're selling the oil down to like the tires and the trucks transporting the oil, right? And in crypto, this really isn't a thing because you're supposed to have like this collaborative kind of money Lego thing where things can sort of fit into each other, and you end up with this beautifully architected stack, right? Where like you have it like the modular framework, right? But over time, I think people are beginning to realize like, well, we're going to run into the same economies of scale as we do anything else, which is like, you know, if I use a bridge, there's a bridge fee. If I use a DEX, there's a DEX fee. If I use Graphane, there's a 1% fee. So if you're an agent doing a swap, right, you pay 1% to Graphane, you pay the DEX fee, so 0.2% to Jupiter, then you also pay the 0.3% to Orca, which is routing you through. And so you end up with like 2-3% trades. Like that's just not scalable. You do like 50 of those trades and essentially your money is just gone, like eventually. And so what we do differently is like we charge a flat 0.1% for trades. There's no front running. We get you better quotes than Jupiter. And we also have our own bridges, which power the solver network. So if you want to bridge between Ethereum to Solana, it's a flat 0.1%. And you're filled instantly, and then an IBC message is sent from one chain to the next. And so like what this means is everything, it fits 100% together, and we're able to lower the cost of doing business for users dramatically lower than our competitors.
No, that's really great to know, and thank you for explaining that, Omar. And yeah, no one wants to go to 5 different apps and pay fees on each one. It's already tough enough to get involved in crypto and like things that are just right on the verge of innovation. And with a lot of the DeFi trading and meme coins specifically, what I've seen in the last month, Solana seems to be that chain. Like Trump coin was launched on Solana, and Graphane and these other ones are using Solana a lot. You also mentioned Ethereum there. Is there a definite need for interoperability between those two chains? And what about the rest of all of the blockchains that there may be volume or trading on? How does that fit into the major picture in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, Ethereum and Solana are interesting to us because, most of the USDT in circulation and like, USDC, like people that have major treasuries hold their treasuries on Ethereum, right? So like if I'm a person that has most of my net worth on Ethereum, because I trust Ethereum, and like so does in general everybody does. You store your funds there, and then you can quickly go do things on Solana, and then like have a way back to your sort of bank, right? So the way I think about Ethereum is like it's a long-term bank for your long-term holdings, and Solana is essentially like your brokerage. And so like we think there's an important need between those two ecosystems. Now, like Base is also a casino, and Arbitrum is also a casino. So these are L2s that we're becoming interested in and probably will add to the platform. Also like Abstract probably will be a nice place for degenning. But like bread and butter, we think it's important to have like your money on Ethereum as like your bank. So we support this class of users, right? And this is also like a very institutionally oriented class of users as well.
I love that analogy, the bank and the brokerage. I haven't heard that before, but I feel like that's a great way to explain to people when they're stuck on just holding Bitcoin and they're like, I need to get into more financial products inside of crypto. So I like that. And with those other layer 2s, that reminds me of, there's a lot of rollups on Ethereum. And I know that Mantis also has this rollup technology as well. I'm sure that provides some kind of advantages with on-chain trading. Can you briefly talk about the Mantis rollup and what benefits that provides?
Yeah, so the Mantis rollup essentially is used for, so essentially when you think about the Mantis solver network, it's essentially a dark pool. So, and the rollup is used to essentially like take these intents and gossip them to solvers, and then the solvers can fill your order directly. So as a user, you never actually have to interact with the rollup, but just know that it's there doing something for you and processing your trades. What's like, there is a long-term vision for this rollup, eventually probably looking a lot similar to something like JupeNet, which recently is like just got announced by Jupiter. This sort of like omni-chain layer where protocols are like, this sort of like overlay network. Like maybe that's something we'll pursue in the future with the rollup, but for now it's used as sort of like this anonymization kind of dark pool processing layer. So you should sort of think about it as a piece of like this machinery.
Hmm. Okay, no, that helps understand it a little bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing how those rollups advance as the platform grows. Also, in the beginning, you mentioned about the DISE engine and how that's a major competitive advantage over all of the other platforms. Can you elaborate on the DISE and what exactly it is and does?
Yeah, so it's essentially like the bread and butter of like our agents, right? So like every agent starts with an LLM. Some LLMs are good at being generic for like all DeFi activities. We decided to be very focused initially on swaps. So like we have all this data from operating Mantis. We have all this information from like users that have told us what they would want to prompt. And so we fed all this plus a lot of data into creating our own sort of custom LLM, and that will then serve as a like the heart slash brain, if you will, of our own agents and other agents like AIXBT being able to tap into it for more information about swaps and then executing directly through the Mantis SDK, which is also wired up to the DISE LLM.
Okay, so I feel like LLMs and ChatGPT, a lot of people that weren't even technically savvy, they realize how easy it is to start interacting with it. And if you can incorporate crypto trading or crypto knowledge into that, that would really onboard a lot of new users into crypto. With DICE, is there a play in making new people not even in crypto or not even in DeFi, or maybe they have a bit of Bitcoin, but they don't understand the technicals of financial products in Web3? How easily can we onboard new entrants into DeFi?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be able to have, I mean, so we are rolling out a mobile application at some point. And I think like the easiest thing is you log in, you pay with your credit card, you get some SOL, and you just start trading. But I think we are thinking about a lot of different sort of gamification layers on top for being able to have, you know, making it actually fun for people to use the application. I won't go so far into depth about that, but that's probably going to be our major sort of catalyst for getting new people not in crypto to actually use these things.
And in the beginning, I saw in the on the site, it also talks about the social aspect of it. I know copy trading is one of those social aspects of trading. Is this what you're talking about as well? The LLM, or how else does like SocialFi fit into the package?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is social, right? So like, we want people to be able to copy trade each other's like trades. We want people to be able to like share their alpha with others. We want people to be able to link a trade that they've made in the past, share their P&L, these types of things, right? Because then ultimately we want normal people to be able to say, hey, my agent has made a bunch of money on chain. I'm going to now run a vault. And instead of asking me for what I'm doing this month, just go buy my vault. And I think that's like a critical component of what we're trying to do here, which is like encourage the average person to create their own network effects by having an agent that like understands their preferences and like executes on them.
That's super cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves. And with the ecosystem, is there also a Mantis token or governance structure that's involved in creating a sustainable ecosystem?
Yeah, so we are focused on trying to get as much usage of the platform as physically possible, right? And so for us, the token is a good way for us to be able to incorporate to build an ecosystem around these agents and getting people to be interested in like a long-term sort of stake and decentralization of the network. And so the token initially is like, we have this obviously needs to be enabled via governance, but we have proposals that we're working on as the core team about sort of revenue sharing. Because what's nice is like, as opposed to other protocols where you just trade, and then you're giving off all this revenue to folks like Jupiter and Orca and everything along the way. Like in our case, we can actually internalize this swap revenue and pass this to the token. So that's like, you know, one major component. The second is also like to use the platform, we will make sure that instead of you needing to have like 10 different types of tokens for gas and then also having to pay for API requests, and these will be things that the Mantis token can be used for as well. And beyond that, obviously, in the early days, like staking the token for access to the private beta is also, you know, just like the baseline, you know, having a minimum amount staked to get access to the private beta. And as these things become, you know, more public, we can, you know, then have sort of like a first come, first serve strategy / fee discounts for the token. And then the token will have a significantly different life in the world where we're tokenizing vaults. So yeah, but I won't get into that yet.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot to be done. And with the, you know, there's the functionality of the app needs to come out. There's different stages. Is there an incentivized testnet or incentivized beta where you can start to earn? You mentioned the gamification system. I don't know how much you can reveal about that, but potential airdrops or getting involved early might have its advantages.
Yeah. So right now, if you participate in our Ask and Earn campaign, and also join our affiliate program, so essentially like use the existing platform and post a referral link and try to get some of your friends using the existing Mantis platform, we will notice that and give you access to the private beta, which then, you know, for every swap you're doing on Mantis, you're already earning Mantis credits. And then if you're in the private beta, those credits are worth, you know, double, triple. And we have sort of little games as well. So getting a slot into the private beta is, you know, valuable from a credits perspective, and the eventual sort of credits to something else conversion is, you know, generally what we're doing to try to gamify things at the moment.
Yeah, very cool. And you mentioned a lot of future launches, but I usually ask at the end, you know, about the roadmap. You mentioned there's potential for staking, obviously the release of the token, the next version of the private beta. Is there any timelines or any major things that you missed that maybe are worth mentioning?
Yeah, so next major updates for us is essentially like, you know, private beta, we're adding as many people as we can to it currently, token release, stake for access, you know, continuing to have the private beta, targeting a public launch in a couple of weeks as well. And then mobile application, and then looking to start introducing the vaults, the vault framework. That's probably going to be something that we roll out phased, because we're obviously worried about agents like rug pulling vaults. So that's like something we want to like be very closely monitor as we're rolling them out and like test these things properly. But we'll probably have a sort of private version of that to share sometime in the month of February for people who used the private beta before.
Very cool. Rogue AI, you got to be careful and stay on top of it so it's not out trading you. Omar, what's the best way to get started on what's available right now and to learn more as these updates roll out?
Yeah, so best way is follow our Twitter is @Mantis. Also, we have a Telegram announcements channel, a Discord, and you can follow me, 0xBrainjar, on Twitter. And yeah, our website's mantis.app. You can go make a swap, get access to Mantis credits like immediately. And you know, what's exciting is it's a pretty low barrier to entry to get exposure to a DeFi AI token. Most DeFi AI tokens don't actually do anything currently. We have a whole sort of platform already out there that people can interact with. So we're pretty excited to be sort of different in that way.
It's very cool. I'm definitely going to dive into it more myself, as I feel like DeFi and AI is on the cutting edge of innovation. I'm looking forward to seeing how the platform progresses. I will leave in the show notes a link to the X platform to your X, the website you mentioned, and the other social links. I'm wishing you and the team all the best as this grows. And let's definitely follow up in the near future, Omar.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me.